very intriguing weapon you guys have, despite an underwhelming combine. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire there back in the backfield racked up 1,867 yards, total yards. That is 17 TDs, 55 receptions. So truly a major threat in the pass game. Some consider him the best receiving back of this class. A lot are concerned, as I mentioned, that underwhelming combine, the 4.6 40. Should they be? And do you see this guy being a true workhorse like he was at LSU at the NFL level too?
It's kind of funny as I'm looking at this list. The three guys we were talking about first are all guys that actually were complete surprises. It's funny, none of these guys were 5-star prospects. Jefferson was a 2-star who was the last signee of his class and was literally just thrown in at the last second. And Edwards-Helaire was just kind of an average 3-star. And I say that just to say that going into the 2019 season, I'll admit him. Writers like myself are like, he'll be the opening day starter, but there's no way he's going to be the guy all year. Mm-hmm. One of the freshmen's going to become the main guy. They just didn't think much of him. But I remember talking to one of my good friends who's a recruiting expert, knows recruiting down here as well as anybody, and he's like, don't be fooled. He's actually, like in our testing numbers and our athleticism stuff, he's off the charts in testing. Mm. So so I say that to say the 40-yard dash and the 4.640, sure. You're a running back. That's important. I think that's a huge thing. But I look at the grand scheme of things with an athlete, and he's a really explosive. He's really agile. He's really quick, and all these things. And he's a smart decision maker. And I just don't know if he's not going to be Chris Johnson running a 4.2 and breaking an 80-yard run. No, I'm sure an NFL player will catch him from behind if he breaks a big run or something. But I think with him, he is so versatile. He's so smart. And he can be that guy who, I think the thing you have to look at most with him is early in the season, there was this fascinating stat that LSU was last or second last in the SEC in yards before contact. The offensive line was not really opening holes for the running backs, anything like that. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire had the number 1 or 2 success rate in SEC, and he also had he was by far number 1 in yards after contact, which is all to say he was put in brutal situations early in the season, and he just made everybody miss. It is almost ridiculous. You watch, and those are most of the highlights you're going to see when you look at his tape. Is just there's 2 guys waiting for him at the line of scrimmage, and he can just spin out of it and whatnot. And then you add his ability as a receiver, who, much like McCaffrey, they used him a lot, like in the slot, for example, or just used him as a receiver. He's a good blocker and all those things. So, do I think he'll ever be a 250 carry a year guy? No, but the modern workhorse is just different, and that's why your question's smart. Is that I think he can be a guy who can be maybe not the main running back in terms of carries, but can be a key contributor full-time. And all 3 of these guys we're talking about are also 3 of the highest character guys on the team if you talk to anybody in that program. So it's kind of a meandering response this time. But, I think he can be a main guy because he's such a good athlete. He knows the game. He's really smart. And he has that great processing ability to know exactly what move to make in real time to make the move.
Absolutely. And as you continue to talk about him, the guy that I keep thinking of, I hate to keep bringing it back to New England because of my experience.
I love it.
James White, with the Patriots, It sounds a lot like that. And the Bucs, where Brady obviously is now located, they don't really have that clear cut, especially the pass catching role. But if Helaire is that instinctive and great after contact, great in the receiving game, and you can move him all over, man, I'd love to see him land with Brady in Tampa Bay. And I feel like that's just the exact type of player Brady loves, and that has become such a staple of the New England offense. I'm really hoping that would be a perfect landing spot, maybe there in round 2. That'd be awesome. Do you think him and Brady could do some damage together?
I absolutely think that'd be a great fit because, I said with Jefferson, I imagine Jefferson will be theoretically fine wherever he goes. I kind of think Edwards-Helaire is a guy who needs to go to a place that actually knows how to use him. If he goes to some not very good team who's asking him to be their main guy and all that, I just don't like, some traditional back. I imagine his career will probably plateau and stagnate. But if he goes to play with a Brady or obviously Carolina doesn't need him, but a Carolina would come to mind just because obviously they know how to use him. I tend to go with the Saints for a lot of these examples, but I think I just do that because maybe nobody's better than the Saints at just knowing how to use people and use people intelligently. Right. So I think he's a guy who probably needs to go to a place that just knows how to use them.
Absolutely. No, it sounds perfect. The last Fantasy Wolf. If you haven't already, share your thoughts, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.